we're entering into a time period where rules and boundaries are still a thing. Like, we're still trying to develop a system, we're still trying to develop a structure of some kind, or trying to implement some form of like rules, but the rules are going to feel different, or the limitations are going to manifest themselves in a different way.
Ryan Little.
Hi folks, welcome to Queen Jupiter Astrology. My name is Deja, and in this video I'm going to be explaining the Jupiter Saturn Conjunction taking place December 21st, 2020. Before I get into kind of talking about the entire conjunction generally and like the historical implications and like things we can expect, all that jazz, I want to break down Jupiter's archetype, Saturn's archetype, and the idea of a conjunction within astrology, generally speaking. Jupiter is a planet of bigness, expansion, opportunity, growth, all that jazz. It's the biggest planet in our solar system, so that archetype of just kind of like providing opportunity and like seeing the greatest good and like being really optimistic about things carries over and carries out through astrology. Saturn, on the other hand, is a little different. It's a lot different. Saturn is a planet of limitations and boundaries, endings, and kind of like formalizing things, but large scale separation in a way. Physical boundaries, physical structures that kind of like keep people apart, that separate people. And in our solar system, Saturn was the last planet for a really long time, and it's got these rings, a little boundary around the planet itself. And it was the boundary, it was the limit in our solar system before Uranus was discovered. So I feel like there's, with these two planets coming together, there's a blending, there's a merging of their two archetypes, and that's essentially what a conjunction is within astrology. Conjunctions are when two planets line up relative to the Earth and kind of come together, or they appear to come together. And when that happens, when that transit happens, we'll see like a blending, a oneness of the two different archetypes kind of becoming one, or acting as one unit, one body in a way. So we're gonna see like a combo of limits and boundaries and rules, limitations generally speaking, and we're also going to see some tones of opportunity and optimism and even some growth. But I don't want to say it's going to be anything too like, wow, this is so amazing, or wow, this is so bad. I really feel like this transition, this conjunction is going to be one that is both good and bad. I think that most things in astrology contain good and bad at the same time, and I think that this conjunction will be really great for the sake of really good things happening, but also really bad things happening and everything in between. So I don't hope that people aren't like, oh my god, this is the end of the world, or oh my god, this is like the dawn of a new era and everything is going to be bright and sparkling and shiny and new computers. No. It's happening in the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is a fixed air sign that's ruled by Saturn. Let me repeat this. Aquarius is a fixed air sign that is ruled by Saturn. Not Uranus, no co-rulership, it's just Saturn. I'm really stressing the fact that Saturn rules Aquarius because I feel like it'll definitely give us crucial insight as to how we should approach this new time period. It's not going to be this like cool cyberspace, shiny computers, let's go to space and like, whoa, look at all of this. I think that it could seem like that at some point. I definitely think that like cyberspace utopia is possible at some point, but I don't think the general theme of it is going to be that, because Saturn is about limitations and about regulation, and is pretty pessimistic actually. So we're entering into a time period where rules and boundaries are still a thing. Like, we're still trying to develop a system, we're still trying to develop a structure of some kind, or trying to implement some form of like rules, but the rules are going to feel different, or the limitations are going to manifest themselves in a different way. And I think that these changes and these differences are going to last for a long time. They're definitely going to be long lasting, because Aquarius is a fixed sign. Fixed signs are interested in consistency, and things being long lasting, especially with Saturn. Saturn is interested in time, but like long periods of time, things that can withstand the test of time. Especially within Aquarius, it's like ideas that withstand the test of time, and that kind of pulls us into this air era that we're entering. For the past 200 years, Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions have primarily been taking place in Earth signs, and that kind of brought about tones of security and resources, finances, those sorts of things. But back in the 80s, we got a taste of the air element, or Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions happening within the air element, when we had a few Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions because of like retrogrades and stuff like that within the sign of Libra. And during that time, we saw computers becoming more widely accessible. Portable laptops were becoming a thing. In the 80s, IBM released a personal computer, the PC. And as we entered into the 90s, we saw computers and like laptops and portable computers really kind of becoming a thing. We saw the World Wide Web having its genesis, and with that we saw inklings of commercial revenue being generated via the internet, and that was something very, very new. Ads online, like, that was not a thing prior to the 1980s, prior to the 90s, and so it was just an inkling, a taste, a touch, and of what we're permanently entering into for the next 200 years. I think with this conjunction, we're going to see a continuation of the explosion of technological services and technology in general. I think the internet, the World Wide Web specifically, has Saturn in Aquarius, so it's experiencing its Saturn return. And it's actually really funky, because back in March, Saturn ingressed into Aquarius, and it was really interesting to see how, when the pandemic was picking up and everybody was stuck at home for quarantine, everyone was online. Literally, people were on Zoom, people were FaceTiming, people were on social media, TikTok was going crazy, like, everybody was just in the house, connecting with others in unconventional ways, primarily using the airwaves, using technology, and using Wi-Fi, essentially. So I feel like we got a taste, as I said before, we got a taste. We've been getting tastes, and we're being prepared. We're formally, properly entering into this time period where the element of air is what is kind of at the forefront of our, I don't want to say collective consciousness, but at the forefront of like what like the overall governance, what the overall like group stuff is going to be like. Yeah. And with Saturn being the ruler of Aquarius, I feel like we're going to be questioning what the limits are of the spread of information. What limits are imposed upon the spread of information of all sorts of information, good information and bad information. When I say info, I mean all info. As I said earlier, Saturn is about rules and boundaries, limits and restrictions. And I think that there is going to be an attempt to restrict the thoughts and the ideas that are dispersed online. So let's see if that actually happens. Let's see if it actually kind of manifests in that way. I think the internet's gonna get some new guidelines to abide by. But in our personal lives, this Jupiter Saturn conjunction is going to be pivotal for all of us. The things that we initiate now, the things that we initiate around the 21st, may seem small, especially things that you initiate within your Aquarius house. So check in your birth chart, see what house that is, and ask yourself, okay, what area of life is this? What sorts of things am I like about to implement here? And if you really want to take advantage of that, you should. Think hard, think critically. What are the foundational structures that I want to start building and working on within my Aquarius house? Things that are initiated now may seem small and may seem like not that big of a deal, but you most likely will see its growth, and will see its an expanding amount of importance within this 20-year time period. So definitely take advantage of that. If you are somebody who is like, I'm ready to just go full steam ahead and just do this, getting things out there, starting new things, why not? Go for it. And we're going to be leaving behind structures that no longer work, that systems that no longer are functional for the collective. And I want to say that we'll see more collective justice, but I don't think that I think that the collective justice is also going to be paired with a collective surveillance state that we may kind of begin to see. I think that especially in 2021, people may not appreciate the rules or the systems that are put in place, and people are going to stand up. And I say that because Uranus is going to be making a square to the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. Now, it's not an exact square. Uranus is only at like 6 or 7 degrees all throughout September, and this conjunction is happening at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So it's not a super tight conjunction. I mean, a super tight square, but it's still a square. A square contained with the outer planets, and I think that's a pretty big deal. Uranus is all about disruptions and shock and change and surprise, and fights for independence, and also rebellion as well. So I feel like there may be inklings of the past, inklings of like that earth energy, that earth attitude, since Uranus is going through Taurus. And that is going to be like, I do not like the way that everybody is switching gears and going into this non-physical, non-tangible way of connecting with folks. Taurus is a sign that is interested, or not interested, that is, can bring up themes about food and property, and comfort. Our comfort is definitely being disturbed. I mean, just generally speaking, with Uranus going through Taurus, but with this conjunction making that square, I feel like it's definitely going to kick up like that disturbance, and what questioning what security really means, questioning what food production means, and all those sorts of things. So let's see what happens. So the last time that we had Jupiter Saturn conjunctions happening in air signs, the last time we had that whole like cycle was way back in 1186 through about 1405. It didn't really pick up steam like full-fledged, just air signs until 1226. So that's really the time that it was like formally, properly air sign era. But during that time, trade was becoming way like much more easier for people to do. People were trading ideas, trading goods, ships were being made like more quickly, and so people were literally able to transport ideas and transport themselves, transport things from point A to point B using the wind, using wind power, using the air. Isn't that crazy? I just think sometimes the astrology is very literal, and I think that's really cool. But anyway, so let's see what happens. We already have ships, so, and we don't really use air to sail them. Now that I think about it though, we've been using coal, resources from the earth to power our world. Coal, oil, gas, all of that stuff, those are earthly resources. And that has been the thing that people have really been like hungry for. The United States was like super hungry for oil. People have, during the Industrial Revolution, coal, like the incorporation of coal was what really, and burning it was what really steamrolled that whole process of like of labor and of like of this economic system that we're not necessarily still witnessing today. I mean, we're still seeing capitalism, but we're not like, factories and things of that nature aren't as prevalent as they were prior. And I think that is definitely to thanks to that Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Libra, and that taste of us kind of like leaving that behind, leaving that resource management behind. And now we're entering into this idea management, idealization, and really kind of wanting to think with other people. Air signs love thinking, and they love using logic, and they love using reason, and they love doing that with other folks. So let's see what happens. Let's watch, let's unfold, or let's let it unfold rather, and let's just go for it. I hope you guys have a great Jupiter Saturn conjunction. Stay tuned for some more Jupiter Saturn goodness, because I'm not going to leave everyone hanging. I'm definitely going to be making horoscopes for you guys, so stay tuned. But yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, bye.